Hello there.
General Kenobi!
You are listening to Mando Talk, your home for the Mandalorian chapter breakdowns, speculation, and all kinds of Star Wars fun.
Welcome back, all you ugnaughts and jawas, to another week's episode of Mando Talk.
That's right, this is Mando Talk, and I'm happy to be back. We're having a great time here in studio.
Good time.
It's been a while, because last week was the Rebel Scum Texan podcast. Well, again, not a podcast episode, so let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Yeah.
We decided to make it a YouTube exclusive, only because, I mean, who wouldn't want to see our faces? And it was a great conversation for us to have as far as maybe people being introduced to our YouTube channel for the first time. So we just kind of made the decision to make it YouTube exclusive. So if you didn't see last week's content that we put out, go check out our YouTube channel.
Yeah. So what we kind of want you guys to do is start migrating over to YouTube. But don't forget about our podcast channels on Apple and Spotify and everything. But YouTube is kind of where we're wanting to see our future go. So keep that in mind moving forward.
Well, and too, I've kind of talked about this before, but podcasts, I mean, we're going to continue to do it because it's where that's our roots. Like, that's where we started. Yeah. And I think that's what we do best because, I mean, we obviously don't have maybe the best look, but I mean, it looks pretty incredible to me. I mean, we're surrounded by Star Wars stuff.
Right.
But
YouTube, we are good looking too, and we want you guys to see us.
YouTube allows us to do those Mando mini talks and the shorter little discussions and gives us, face-to-face interaction to where you get to see us cutting up and all those different things. So check that out if you haven't, but we're excited to do our back to normal schedule here. We got our podcast episode, we got our YouTube video, whichever platform you want to roll with, but like Nolan said, YouTube is a great platform if you haven't seen us there yet, so go check that out and hit subscribe if you haven't. And also, with us tonight, you've heard him a little bit, Jacob Keller. What's up?
Yes, sir. Here I am.
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Did you have a good week?
Yeah. Going back to school.
Yeah.
Start of the new semester.
Right.
I've only got till May next year to graduate.
Well, may the force be with you.
Oh, thank you. I could probably get done sooner if I really put my mind to it.
Yeah.
Really put my effort to it.
College is one of those things, man, that you just gotta, put everything you got into it, or it's gonna be really tough.
Yeah.
But you keep trucking
balancing
on.
that with work and
Right.
But I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and
yeah,
and I'm learning some good stuff.
Right,
now.
like
and it ain't a train, is it?
How to speak.
That light at the end of the tunnel ain't a train, is it?
No,
you're learning how to speak different languages, like you heard a couple weeks ago.
A little bit when I have time for that.
Well, also we got Nolan. Nolan, how's your week been going?
Man, my week's been good. Past 2 weeks have been good.
That's good.
But, busy as always.
Yeah. Well, Star Wars is a little busy right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the recent Star Wars news. We're going to have a lot of fun, like we said. I mean, you heard us cutting up as soon as we came on air
It's pretty much this whole night is open to speculation, I believe.
I think so. We're just having fun
and
with the different
classic
news
Nolan
pieces.
rants.
Probably.
Probably.
I mean, if you listen to Mando Talk, you're well aware of that content from Nolan.
I take a hard left turn sometimes, and we veer off of our, path, but we always find our way back.
We find our way back. That's what matters, man. That's what matters.
Yeah.
Just like Anakin. He fell off the path, and at the very end of it, he got back on track, just like we'll do eventually on this podcast episode.
Star Wars nature documentary.
And then the Sith that he killed to get him back good come back and just ruined his whole arc. But
anyway, we don't need to talk about that when BA's not here. I mean, BA would just have a heyday with that.
I'm sure he's laughing.
Well, listen, let's do this. We got some things to talk about, things to have fun with you guys this week. First thing, Alan Tudyk, K2SO voice actor, but not only that, I believe he actually is on set when they do the scenes, and he has to wear like this crazy outfit in order for them to be able to shoot it. So regardless, he is K2SO in full, I think. I think he falls under the Anthony Daniels category with 3PO, but I would never compare those two. I think we had that discussion once, like who do we prefer? Yeah. K2SO is an incredible droid
But you
character, in my
can't-
opinion.
I mean, he's not in the same category.
Yeah, I
Like,
would
he's
agree with
in
that.
the same category, but then again, not.
Yeah.
Because
He's just got a different personality as a droid.
C-3PO is legendary.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
don't think K-2SO is legendary yet.
Right, but I do think that
There is
K2SO
possibility.
has the opportunity to get up there, and here's why.
Yeah.
So he spoke with Entertainment Tonight and clarified his future role as K2SO in the Disney Plus show Andor. So because last week and a half ago maybe, he was speaking with Collider and said he's not involved with Season 1, which he doubles down with Entertainment Tonight. So let me go ahead and just read what he said. He said, "I'm coming back at some point. I was there at the first announcement at D23, and at that point the story hadn't been formalized yet. So now that it has been formalized, even though I was announced at the beginning and every announcement I saw had me involved, I am not involved currently. I will be involved at some later date." So I think it's very evident that if Andor gets a second season, a third season, and so on, which obviously all of us as Star Wars fans are hoping for, because that means Season 1 was good content.
Yeah.
Sounds like they're going to incorporate K2SO into the story, which tells me then, it makes me possibly speculate that we are going to start Andor not well before, but before maybe the rebellion is fully established.
Yeah.
Because he's
I would
got to
agree
be
with
paired
that.
up with K2 for a lot of that portion,
Yeah,
or
in
that
order to have
timeline.
the amount of trust that they do in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what are y'all's just overall thoughts on K2 not being in Season 1? Because we haven't had an opportunity to talk about that because it came out midweek last week, and we had already pre-recorded our Rebel Scum Texan podcast episode. YouTube exclusive episode.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you think about K2 not being in Season 1? Because I'll be honest, I was extremely bummed when I've read that last week.
So I kind of think it's promising.
Really?
Yeah,
Like
hot take.
promising for the future or for this coming season, the first season?
Both.
Okay, let's hear it.
So if they're holding back K2SO for a later season, that obviously means that they have the confidence in their writers that Season 1 will be good enough to have a second season and a third season.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
if they're holding back a character like that, that everybody wants to see for a later season, then they obviously think it's going to be something really special.
That's a good point.
So I think it's promising
I
for
haven't
that,
even-
for that series.
I haven't even thought about it in that light. Jacob, what do you think?
I think it could be good too. I mean, it is a bummer that we don't get to see them interact
Yeah.
in this first season,
Right.
but Nolan brought it up that if it's written in such a way that we get in the first season to be familiar with where he comes from,
Mhm.
and then the second season we get to see how they meet.
Right.
That would be awesome, right?
Yeah. I mean, the show is called Andor, so they really need to establish Cassian first and
Yeah.
foremost, obviously.
And
Absolutely.
that does kind of confirm that it will be a series, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully it'll be a multi-part series. Do they know as far as episodes or how many episodes per, or is it going to be like a mini series where it's like 30-minute, like almost like the Clone Wars, 30-minute episodes?
Well, I want to say for sure that the timing of the episodes, I'm assuming, because we've now gotten, and I think we're going to have a podcast episode on this at a later date. We've now gotten WandaVision, and I think we're going to have a podcast on how that connects to Star Wars maybe down the road, because that's just crushing it right now. But WandaVision has come out with Marvel's first Disney Plus show, and they're sticking to the whole like 30 minutes and beyond, kind of like what The Mandalorian established.
Right.
So I think that's a setup, like a template that Disney Plus is going to continue with as far as at least Star Wars and Marvel go.
Do you think that's a marketing thing where they're like, okay, well, we know that people sit down to eat for approximately 30 minutes and they don't want to, people's lives are too busy now, so they're trying to sculpt television around people's lives and only give them 30-minute increments?
Maybe. I don't know. That's
Oh,
an
here we
interesting
go.
take.
There's that left turn.
There is that huge left turn. I mean, you typically, like Friends, for example, or
Right.
The Office,
30 minutes.
when you go on Netflix and wherever they're at now, I don't know. I think it's actually.
I've got
I
YouTube
think
TV
they're off
and
Netflix.
Friends is literally on almost 100% of the time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, true. It's just one of those like background music things, almost.
Pretty much, it's gotten to that point.
But anyway,
I watched it today on lunch.
The TV show platform, back when it was watching it on live television, they were always 22 minutes and something odd seconds because you had to fit in those commercial breaks.
Yeah.
But now that we don't have that, I think the 30-minute is kind of like okay, you got to at least hit 30-minute mark with at least Star Wars and Marvel for it to be considered like a full-on series. Would y'all kind of agree with that?
Yeah.
Because I do think Clone Wars is typically around the 20-minute mark, so that is a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
I think those two probably, that's probably the separation between those two.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to adapt to people's attention spans.
Yeah, maybe.
And, like, nobody wants to
I don't
sit
know.
down. Not everybody has the time to sit down an hour each day
Yeah.
or each week
Yeah.
to, watch a show.
But they do have an hour each week to listen to Mando talk, right?
That's right. Well, they do that on the commute
Yeah,
when it's on podcast form.
right. When it's
Right.
yeah, that's true. Again, I apologize.
Just throw it on
for
the
that.
dash and turn it on.
But anyway, it's going to be interesting to see what Andor looks like, how it feels, what the future of that show is going to be. But regardless, like I said at the top when I talked about this report, I was bummed with K2 not coming back for season 1 because that was part of the interest level for me. Now, Jacob just got all excited over here, so what do you have to say?
Oh, man. I was just thinking, you were saying you would love to see what it looks like,
Mm-hmm.
what the Cassian Andor show would look like.
Mm-hmm.
Cassian.
Cassian Andor.
Oh, man. I was just thinking I would love to see how the Empire propaganda machine got set up. And remember how in Rebels, the Emperor made himself look like he was
Young
and looked good.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see that as his public face.
Right. Be
Right.
careful there.
Right. As his public face.
Uh-huh.
Because, you got to think all these stormtroopers, all of the people who are in the Imperial military, they don't think they're the bad guys, right? They think that they're bringing peace to the galaxy.
Correct.
It would be awesome to see the way that the Empire is propagandizing that.
Yeah.
But underneath that layer, it would be awesome to see also the brutal kind of government authoritarianism that's going on in the real world,
Yeah.
I
think it's definitely possible to get that, and I think Andor
Yeah.
might be the place to display that,
Oh, yeah.
display the Empire's growth over time.
Ooh, and to also get to see somehow his connection to being the son of parents who were backing the Confederacy.
With the Separatists,
Yeah,
right?
the Separatists.
Yeah. That'll be really cool, and it'll be a missed opportunity if they don't touch on that, because that's just a
Yeah.
really cool
Yeah.
plot point for his character, the fact that his parents were Separatists.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, I can't wait for Andor. I think it's going to feel different compared to anything Star Wars that we've seen. So I can't wait to see it. I think it's going to be a while before we see it, and we'll talk maybe a little bit more about that later when we're talking about the future of Disney Plus for Star Wars. But regardless, we can't wait to see K2SO come back because it sounds like, coming from Alec Tudyk himself, that it's going to happen at some point. We just got to be patient. So, this is Mando Talk. We're all about the Mandalorian. The rest of these reports, rumors, things that we want to talk about are focused on the Mandalorian. So, let's go ahead and dive into it, and I'm really intrigued to hear what y'all have to say about this one. Jon Favreau recently was speaking with the Writers Guild of America, and he was asked to just talk about his process of writing The Mandalorian, and specifically what got brought up was how he came up with the idea of bringing back Luke Skywalker. Again, one of the greatest moments we've seen as Star Wars fans. I'm still thinking about it each and every single day. The glowy green lightsaber with the fog. I mean,
Yeah.
incredible. Anyway, this is what he said. He said, "The story unfolded as I wrote it. The Mandalorian inherits a great deal from existing Star Wars stories, and when I write, the context is always a consideration. It became clear that within the established continuity, certain things were likely to transpire." So, I thought that was interesting because he did not come into, like when he pitched it to Kathleen Kennedy, his pitch wasn't, here is a Mandalorian that meets a Baby Yoda and they meet Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. No.
Apparently that wasn't part of the pitch because the Luke Skywalker part came after he was just writing away.
Mm-hmm.
Which is interesting because, fans with the sequels, they're always like, how come everything wasn't planned out to a T? And here, Favreau himself is admitting that Luke Skywalker wasn't necessarily planned out to a T.
Yeah.
It just made perfect sense for, as I was writing this, for it to flow out, and we got it, and it was executed perfectly.
Yeah.
So I want to hear y'all's thoughts on, like, I don't know, does it make you, it doesn't make me nervous. I don't even know what to ask with this. Like, just what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Favreau's process on that?
So my biggest concern with that is obviously the question that we're left with as far as where do we go from here?
Yeah.
That's my biggest concern, and I'm not going to go as far to say as it was executed perfectly as you did.
Wow, okay.
Because it's not over. We're
Right.
halfway through.
True.
It could be screwed up next season, and then you're going to be like, well, what the crap?
Like
it's going to
you're
be
s-
like the hand in the lightsaber thing.
Okay. So you're saying like a perfect setup, almost like we thought The Force Awakens was,
Yeah.
and then The Last Jedi happened.
It's got all the potential to be perfect.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
But if it's not executed well at the beginning of season 3 or at all,
At some point, whenever it comes up again.
what good is it?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we get that back, but there's nothing done with it. And again, you're throwing the Skywalkers in something that they're not needed in.
Right. And I think there's more to, there's more to see with it, I hope. Like, I was just thinking today, and I was talking to you about it. We finally have the opportunity of Ahsoka meeting her master's son, which would be, again, amazing if they do. But, yeah, it all does come back to execution. So it might look good on paper, but as long as they execute it, that's really the most important thing. Jacob, what do you think about the writing process as Favreau was speaking on how Luke came into play? Excuse you.
Yeah, excuse me. Man, I don't know. First thought is, I do agree that it was executed like y'all remember our reactions after seeing it?
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
It was amazing. It was executed amazingly,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
yeah. For what we've gotten
for
so
him-
far, yes.
Yeah, for him to do that and it be like a natural progression from the story that he was already flowing from himself,
Yeah,
I think that speaks a lot to how good he could be as a writer.
yeah. And I think it speaks a lot to how in tune he is with Star Wars as a whole.
Yeah.
Like, he gets it.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people think that sequel creators didn't get. They just
Yeah.
didn't get it.
Exactly.
Like Favreau, like you were saying, just it flows.
Yeah, and it's because, he, I don't know, BA would probably have things to say about this. I mean, Favreau's
We
not
miss
really
you, BA.
concerned. Favreau's not really concerned about making something that he thinks fans should see, right?
Mhm.
He's just concerned about making a good Star Wars story,
Yeah.
it seems. And, seeing that, I guess he just has a natural talent for writing as well.
Right.
Well,
Now, what Nono said, I can also see that, where it's, we've come to a climax in the story. It's really very open what could happen in
Yeah.
season 3.
There's no direction, really.
Yeah, other than
a
I
couple
don't know,
things.
a couple things, but it's like he's really got to pick it up, and I believe that he'll know how to,
Yeah.
based off of his other work
Right.
that we've seen, and his work that he did with this show, and his work that he did with Clone Wars. What else has he done?
Favreau?
Yeah,
Iron Man.
yeah,
Dave Filoni is who you're thinking of with Clone Wars. Favreau was the voice of Pre Vizsla, but as far as like creative direction
okay.
of Clone Wars, he didn't really have
Okay,
much to say
okay,
with
okay.
it. But yeah, regardless, Iron Man. Yeah, I mean, he kickstarted Marvel basically with
Yeah.
Kevin Feige, but Yeah, I
Was
see
he
your
involved
point.
in like tying in all of the stories of Marvel?
I think more so just Iron Man specifically.
Okay.
But regardless, again, my Iron Man, I do think, even though he's not my favorite, I do think Iron Man is the character that got MCU where it is.
Yeah.
Like as far as
What did you just say?
got a lot of people in. Iron Man's not my favorite MCU character, man.
Who is?
Sorry. It's either Cap or Thor.
Huh.
I don't know why, but that's just the case, man.
Whatever. But we'll dig into the season 3 speculation
For
a
sure.
lot more.
For sure.
We are having another guest on actually to talk about season 3 speculation. So be sure to check that out. It's coming out hopefully next week.
Yeah, we'll see.
If we don't have a lot of news,
we're
come
gonna.
out.
So Zach Horvath, you've heard him before if you've been listening to our podcast for
You're a
while.
long time listener.
Because he came on to talk about the Rise of Skywalker with us. So we figured, you know what, we need to get him to come on and talk about season 2 of The Mandalorian. And I'm sure while he's here, we'll be talking about what we could possibly see next.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
we're gonna have to hear what he has to say. I mean, it's always good to have Zach on, so we can't wait for you to hear that. But I mean, I can't wait for us to sit down and record it.
Also going to be a YouTube special.
We'll see. We'll see.
Possibly might just be a YouTube special. So be sure to check us out on YouTube. Go hit the subscribe button, get the bell on so it notifies you when we post something. That's very important. But usually you can count on us every Friday.
Absolutely. Now,
So
we said we weren't going to talk about season 3, but let's talk about it with this last, but one of the
goodness.
news pieces. The rumor, and this is probably the biggest thing right now that everyone's talking about. Rumor, The Mandalorian Season 3 is expected to start filming on April 5th, 2021. This is according to Film and Television Industry Alliance. So let's first talk about that news outlet. They have been wrong before regarding the Obi-Wan Kenobi shooting schedule. So
Okay.
this does need to be fully clarified as a rumor. This is not 100% accurate.
Not a fully reliable source.
Right. They have been correct before, so I've read and heard others say,
Mm-hmm.
but they are not 100% on the money all the time.
Yeah.
well, I mean, everybody's right sometimes. I
True.
mean, come on. We're right sometimes.
A clock is right
Twice a day.
So same thing.
A broke
But-
clock.
Yeah, right. Broke
Yeah.
clock. My bad. I'm not good with like the analogies.
The old man
or whatever.
analogies.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not at that age yet where they just come natural.
I feel like I am. I was going to say that, but then I was like, yeah, people are going to be like, what in the world does that even mean?
Nah.
Yeah, a broke clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
But I will say this. As far as that was a really
I'm
loud.
gonna use that.
As far
you never
as
heard
the
that?
No, I haven't.
Are you kidding?
See, well, I'm sorry.
He's sitting
No,
here.
you're good.
No, we're
You're good.
spinning off.
You're good.
But me and my coworker, we have like debates all the time, just about all kinds of crazy
On what
stuff.
the oldest man saying is.
No, just
That's
all
the
kinds
next
of
one.
stupid stuff. And you know, he's always like questioning me, like, "Where's your sources and stuff? And how do you know that you're right?" And I'm like, "That's the perfect response that I could have."
Well, a broke clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
That's the disclaimer that needs to be put at the bottom of every like podcast episode that we
Yeah.
have. Like at some point, something that we say is gonna stick.
Yeah.
Well, listen. As far as what this implies to me for the future, I am thinking that although this source might not be right all the time, I think it might actually kind of line up as far as what they got going on right now, because the Book of Boba Fett should be, if it hasn't already, finishing filming pretty soon. And the way that Favreau was speaking during Christmas, he was acting like as soon as Book of Boba Fett was wrapped, he was going straight into Mando Season 3, which would make sense because we are 3.5 months away from April at this point, which would give him enough time to finish up maybe some post work that he needs to do with Book of Boba Fett or editing, all those sorts of different things. So I do think, although this report might not always, or this outlet might not always be accurate, it would make sense. It would make sense for that date, or at least for that time frame for Season 3 of The Mandalorian to start shooting. And first of all, that's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting to know that somewhere in our world, which apparently it's going to be in Los Angeles, Season 3 is getting shot, and somebody out there already knows what Season 3 is going to look like and be like and what happens, and I'm jealous. I'm jealous that it's not me that knows.
Don't you think they should share that with us, though?
Yeah, they should let us know. So
I
we
mean,
can
that would be
share it
a
with the
good
world.
thing. That would be a good thing to talk about. Not talk about, but know going into our podcast season. Speaking of podcasts,
What's that?
I'm going to do another plug.
Okay, here we go. What's the plug, man?
First annual Star Wars podcasting day.
Let's go.
First, and I'm going to say that again because it's epicness. First annual Star Wars podcasting day, February 7th. Be on the lookout.
Be there or be square.
We're going to be posting a Mando Talk special that day we're joining, was it 77?
There we were, as of 2 hours ago, 4 podcast networks short of getting to 77.
And
so
who
let's
is
get it there.
Who is putting it on?
At Star Wars Now This on Twitter. Star Wars Now This is podcasting is putting it on.
And Daniel Contreras is the guy behind that.
Yes, one of our listeners. We
He's
really
one of our
appreciate
listeners.
it.
He's given us a lot of support over the past couple years, and we really appreciate his publicity and getting us to be a part of this. So, February 7th, first annual Star Wars podcasting day.
100%, man. You're pretty,
Don't miss it.
You're pretty good at that.
Don't
dude.
miss it. Be there.
Yes, be there.
Get the bell on.
All right, so the Book of Boba Fett, we haven't had an opportunity to talk about this.
Ah.
We haven't really had an opportunity to talk about like what we might expect to see or like the positives about it, the negatives about it. So let's just open this up. Like, what do y'all think?
Right now?
So I'm open for conversation, but I honestly have no clue, and I am anxious to hear y'all's perspective on it.
On the Book of Boba Fett.
Yes, specifically on that, because, dude, I don't even know.
Like what the story's going to be.
Yes, like I don't even know the time frame, if it's like 5 years past, if it's during the rise of the First Order. You know, I don't even have any clue on anything.
Right. And I do think implications, and that's purely what this is going off of right now.
Right.
Implications of it being immediately after season 2 wrap, like season 2 finished, and you think we're getting credits, but no, we're getting this little tease, tells me that it's right at the same time frame. And that's just my feeling right now. I can't really say, obviously, that's 100% accurate, but that's my feeling, because, again, Disney and Kathleen Kennedy has been hyping up the fact that this new Mando verse, that's what we're calling it here in Mando Talk, is all going to connect at some point for a big climatic ending.
Yeah.
So that tells me that Book of Boba Fett is probably occurring dead on at the same time.
Okay, I'm going to spin off that real quick.
Spin it.
So, say it is directly after the end of season 2 that the Book of Boba Fett picks up. Boba and Finnick and the Slave One go back to Tatooine, and they take over the underworld.
Jabba's palace, baby.
Jabba's palace. Okay, say that happens. Mando doesn't have a ship, but we also have Bo-Katan and her guys, and
her crew, her squad.
Moff Gideon,
Cara
Dune. Do you think? I think Cara Dune will go back to being a marshal or whatever. I don't think we'll get any more of her as far as major roles. I think we'll visit her.
Yeah,
maybe once or twice.
I think we'll get her
season.
in Rangers of the New Republic, that other show they're putting on.
I think she's about done for the Mandalorian.
Really?
I mean, we'll get glimpses of her every now and then, and we might get one episode with her in it, but she won't be a major character. I think the new ones. I think I think Din Djarin is going with Bo-Katan, and they're going back to Mandalore.
Yeah. That would seem to be the case.
Yeah.
Din Djarin is the Mandalore.
Currently.
Yep.
Currently, yes. 100%. Now, but also, Finnick was there at the end of season 2, so she's got to get picked up at some point. So is that how Book of Boba Fett might start, maybe? That's the transition of how Book of Boba Fett begins its season is Boba Fett picks up Fennec. We say our adioses to Din Djarin and his crew, and then we follow Boba. Could it be like literally that connected, or do you think we're just going to pick up right off in Jabba's palace and he's already got Fennec?
I feel like we might pick up somewhere else.
Like we flash forward and he's already got her. Like that's pointless stuff we don't really need to see, kind of thing.
Maybe.
Okay.
I think we'll get clarification on that on the time frame,
Yeah.
but
Think
I
so.
don't think we have to see it. I think it'll come in another
I think
form. I think
they'll-
they're pretty good at that.
I think
Yeah.
they might mention Mando and Bo-Katan.
Oh yeah, I think they'll put a little plug in.
Yeah.
Because they're going to put a little plug in for people watching the Book of Boba Fett. Hey, if for some reason you've been living under a rock and you haven't heard of the Mandalorian yet, Din Djarin and all these other characters are out there, so we'll get them later.
Yeah.
So don't forget about those guys. I can't wait for the Book of Boba Fett. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
But as far as strictly Book of Boba Fett,
Now, let me
We
ask
know
you this.
that
What are they gonna
Boba
do?
Fett
Like-
goes to Maz's castle at some point. We don't know when, but we know that he's been there.
From the signet
Yeah.
flag, correct?
really,
I
Yeah.
mean, it's
speak on that.
you could assume that he's been there, but
yeah.
you could also assume that it was just a little Easter egg put in a Star Wars movie, possibly.
Well, you could.
I mean, if you're wanting to really connect the dots, you could make your claim. But
Yeah.
why don't you speak on it?
Well, do you remember the scene where Rey and Finn and Han are walking up to Maz's castle, and there's all those banners hanging on the front of it? Well, Boba Fett's signet banner
The Mythosaur.
is one of those banners hanging there.
Well, that could be any Mandalorian, though, couldn't it?
I don't think with those colors.
Oh,
It was, for me, I've always interpreted that as just an Easter egg, but you're really connecting the dots. I don't know if we'll see him go to Maz's castle.
Now, what other underground characters do we see?
What if he?
in
Okay, hold on. I'm
the
sorry.
sequels?
What if he does go to Maz's castle, tracking down Han Solo, because that's who he hates,
Yeah.
and that's like the plot line right there.
Huh. That's good.
And they could bring in Alden Ehrenreich. I always butcher his last name. The guy who acted as the younger Solo in Solo: A Star Wars Story,
Yeah.
if they wanted to, since it's only 5 years after Return of the Jedi, to play Han.
Huh.
That's a possibility. You let us know, those of you listening, if you want to see Han Solo show up in the Book of Boba Fett, which would make sense because that's obviously Boba Fett's probably wanting to go kill the person that put him in the Sarlacc pit for a
Mhm.
while. Let us know if you want to see that. Jump down in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you think we're going to see in the Book of Boba Fett, because honestly, your guess is probably as good as ours.
or better.
Probably better.
Because I don't have any idea. I wish I had some predictions.
I think what we need to do is we need to formulate maybe some more clear predictions before getting on air and having a podcast
Well,
episode
what kind
over
of
that.
underground is in existence at this time? I mean, the huts are dead.
Huts are dead.
But
But now we
Pikes are dead.
Yeah.
but there's still spice, like the spice trade, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you
But
got
Boba
that.
Fett is more of a bounty hunter, though.
I don't know. I don't
He's
know
not a
as far
spice
as
runner.
underground goes. I don't know what we're playing with in that area because the sequels didn't really deal with any of that kind of stuff.
But they did a little bit.
Oh, Conja Club
Yeah.
and the other group that was there in The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
I don't want to see more of them, man, honestly. Of all things in The Force Awakens, and Jacob, I think you heavily agree with this, the Rathtar sequence probably wasn't the best one. So I don't really need to see any more Conja Club members personally. I'm good with it. Let's just focus on Boba Fett. But anyway, anyway, guys, I can't wait for the Book of Boba Fett.
Mhm.
I can't wait to see kind of what they got with the future of that character and all things. Now, I do want to speak on the future of Star Wars on Disney Plus, though, because we haven't really talked about Season 3 of The Mandalorian. So let's connect this back to the shooting. So if it's shooting in April, let's put our thinking caps on here. Book of Boba Fett's coming out in December of 2021. We know that is 100% fact. it would make zero sense for them to stack season 3 of The Mandalorian right on top of that. We're all in agreement of that.
Yeah.
I don't think they have enough time to do it, and I don't think that it would make sense. I also don't think it makes sense to put out season 3 of The Mandalorian in early 2022, depending on how long the Book of Boba Fett runs. Because if the Book of Boba Fett starts in December and it's 8 episodes, it'll go all the way until the end of January, beginning of February.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't make any sense to put it out in early 2022 either. So here's what I'm thinking. And a lot of people out there think, okay, maybe we'll get it in the spring of 2022, summer of 2022, but I don't want them to do that. I am A-okay with waiting until next holiday. Just like they need to stick to the fall and winter months being the Mandoverse content, in my opinion. Like, yes, that's a 2-year wait for us here at Mando Talk for season 3 of The Mandalorian, but I would prefer it that way, honestly. And that way it gives maybe the spring and summer the opening for Andor, the opening for Obi-Wan Kenobi, Lando's show, the Acolyte, all the different things they have planned. But they need to stick with fall and winter and
just
as Mandoverse for
consistency
me.
And nostalgia, or
Probably
why?
nostalgia. I mean, at this point, when
Yeah.
I'm thinking of fall and winter, I'm always thinking there should be something new, Star Wars coming out.
Yeah.
They established that with the sequels. The sequels really made December Star Wars' month.
Yeah.
And then once they were over, it was like, okay, when Star Wars is going to take back that? And then obviously The Mandalorian definitely did that. I don't know. What do y'all think? When do you want to see season 3 of The Mandalorian?
In November, December of 2021.
So on top of the Book of Boba Fett. Nolan, what about you? When do you want to see it?
Now.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we would love to see it now. But I'm just thinking I don't know. I'm thinking about just the pacing and the spacing out of content because you don't want to just overload it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, nothing makes sense when it comes to it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just to eliminate all of it, it would be great just to have it now.
I mean, yeah, as Star Wars fans, we want it now. Like next Friday, right? All right, next Friday, we are reviewing Chapter 17 of Season 3 of The Mandalorian because we got early access. We don't, but I wish. So let's end in a positive note talking about the last news piece here for The Mandalorian. The American Film Institute names The Mandalorian one of the top 10 television programs of 2020. So bravo to Favreau, Filoni, cast and crew, everyone involved.
Well deserved.
Put your hands together for those guys. They have really made something great
They
for
really
Star
have.
Wars. They've drawn in a whole new crowd, and it's very well deserved, I think.
Yeah, and they've rebranded Star Wars, honestly. Like, there's
really
a lot
have.
of people out there that think Star Wars' future is only television at this point. Now, I'm not
It's a
there
possibility.
yet.
And we talked about that with Rebel Scum Texan.
And I think that's an interesting conversation. Like, because we know the movies, I think the movies were going away eventually at some point, but COVID-19 really kind of pushed that even further. Movies are going away eventually, and I'm interested to see what that's going to do with Star Wars as a whole. But it is nice to see that television is working.
It's a viable option for
So
them.
if theater does eventually go away, at least we know that what we're getting right now will still be good. But in my opinion, nothing beats Star Wars in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Right.
But again, congratulations to Star Wars and their television department because they have started off on a great note with The Mandalorian. Well, listen, guys, that's all the news pieces that we have for this week, and we really appreciate your continued support and you continuing to listen to us, especially during this off season. Obviously, our main focus is to cover The Mandalorian and give the reviews for the new episodes that come out. But during the off season, it's really about connecting with you guys and getting to know each other more and just talking Star Wars and having a bunch of fun. So again, follow us on YouTube, or not follow us, but subscribe to us on YouTube, hit the bell, do all the things necessary you need to in order to get all the YouTube content and continue to listen to us on podcasts because we're not going away as far as our podcast platforms either.
3 things to mention before we get out of here. 1, sorry for last week, as far as it not being on podcast form. But if you really want to see that banger of an episode we did, go to YouTube, subscribe, get the bell on so you get notified whenever we post on YouTube, and listen to our conversation with our giveaway winner, Rebel Scum Tex, and he got to be on our show, and it was a great episode.
It was
a lot of fun to do, and he's a really good guy.
Yeah, he is.
Second, first annual Star Wars Podcasting Day. Don't miss it. February 7th, we're doing a special episode that day, and we're gonna come up with something good.
I think so.
We're gonna come up with something really good for that day. We're gonna have really solid content for that day. So check us out. February 7th, first annual Star Wars Podcasting Day. Thanks, Daniel, for the invite to that. And third,
Zach Horvath.
Next Friday, Zach Horvath, we're going to have him on the show. And it's going to be another
4-screened,
probably hopefully 3-screened if I can make it. If not, it'll be
me and Zach at least. It's going to
Caleb
be
and Zach.
It's going to be a great conversation.
Oh yeah,
and like I said, it's going to be focused on reflecting on season 2 of The Mandalorian, and we'll get into a little bit of, all right, Zach, what do you want to see in the future? All those kind of things. So we're gonna eat up Zach's time because when we have him, man, we're gonna have a great conversation.
And he always really brings his A game, so you don't want to miss that. Next Friday, we'll be dropping that episode. Don't miss it on YouTube and hopefully on podcast for
it'll
Friday.
Be on podcast too. I'll get.
He's promising it's gonna be on podcast, so
I'll get it done.
We're gonna make it happen for you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys got anything else?
Yeah, just follow us on socials because, again, it's really fun to connect with you. At Mando Talk, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Comment. That's how we can talk to you guys.
Yeah.
We love to comment back and forth with our listeners and our followers. So with that being said, we have spoken.